These are on. 6 o'clock? we're an hour early.
Nope, we're right on time.
I'd like to call the meeting to order with a pledge of allegiance, please. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, well, thank you for coming and welcome to the regular meeting of the Greencastle School Board, September meeting that is. First item on the agenda is adjustments to the agenda. Mr. Gibney.
Yes, I don't have any adjustments per se to the agenda at this time, but I'd like to ask if it would be okay when we get to Personnel Report Part 2, if we just post that list on our door at central office and on the website. There's roughly 150 names and positions to read through.
Yeah, is that something you just plan on doing every month instead of reading through them, or?
Yeah, I'd like to. I think it would be help us be more transparent if we posted Personnel Report Part 1 and Part 2 ahead of the board meeting. That way the public can see the positions and seeing what is being voted on for approval.
I think that's a good idea.
That works for me. Okay, no real adjustments to the agenda. So next on the agenda is recognitions. Mr. Gibney.
Yep, so at this time, if we could start with the high school, but we're starting something.
Oh, excuse me. Next on the agenda is public comments regarding agenda items. Do we have any public comments regarding the agenda items tonight? Okay, hearing none. Now, next is recognitions.
Yep, my apologies. So we want to do a better job of sharing the good things and celebrating the accomplishments of students and staff. So this is the first month we'll be honoring a student of the month from each of our buildings. So shortly here we'll begin with the high school and work our way down. But I do want to say to our families in attendance, after we recognize all students of the month, there'll be an opportunity for pictures in the lobby of McAnally, and then by all means you're more than welcome to stay, but I also know that with some of the little ones in attendance and it being a school night, certainly you're welcome to leave as well. I don't want you to feel like you're obligated to stay, but you're more than welcome if you would like. So at this time, if we could begin with Mr. Rogers in the high school.
Good evening, everybody. Our student to be honored is Maddie Burge, and Mr. Hudson was the one that nominated her. Mr. Hudson says he's had the pleasure of having Maddie in his alternative program for the last 3 years. He says the previous 2 years weren't the best. Attendance, focus, and sometimes even progress were not always great. But fast forward to this year, and he's seen a totally different child. Her attendance is stellar. Her attitude is great. She comes in smiling every day. Work ethic and focus is off the chart. And the result is that she's completed already 5 courses, so she's already achieved 5 credits in the first 27 days of the 2020-2021 academic year. She's improved so much. She works a full-time job, and the transition has been amazing and a joy to behold. And he congratulates Maddie on this award, and it's very deserving. And I really think that this is an example of students' progress, and students' careers are like a work of art. Don't judge them until they're done. And she's on track to actually graduate early. So congratulations, Maddie.
Amen. Right on, yeah.
I'm trying to mask up again. Here, let's go 6 feet. I'm trying. I got my hands full. And we'll go out and get a picture, okay?
All right. Great job.
Yeah, congratulations.
Good evening. For Greencastle Middle School, we would like to recognize for the August Student of the Month, Andy Abel. He is nominated by Mrs. Howard. Andy is a hard worker and always has a smile on his face, parentheses, under the mask. He gets along with everyone and includes everyone on a daily basis. Andy is helpful to others who are in need and is a great team player. I don't believe I see Andy in the audience. So we'll make sure that we deliver his plaque to him tomorrow at school.
Hey, we'll give him a clap.
Good evening.
Good evening.
So TZ's Student of the Month is Mr. Corbin Hayden. Corbin is a fourth grader in Mrs. Jennifer Mann's classroom. And Mrs. Mann said about Corbin when she, come on over here, Corbin. When she nominated him, she said that Corbin is nominated because he is an extraordinary student and very proactive in his learning. He understands that he sometimes has trouble paying attention. I don't have my mask on, so come stand right here. We'll be safe. Okay, right there. That he sometimes has trouble paying attention, but he is very aware of that, and he will ask to have directions repeated and ask for help when he needs it. He always does his best work in class, and many times has one of the highest scores. He is kind to everyone in the class and is always helping out. He doesn't concern himself with being the first one done on an assignment, but instead, he worries about the quality of the work that he turns in. So Corbin is representing TZ.
All right.
Very good.
We'll go out and get a picture in just 2 minutes, okay, Corbin? All right.
We always do things just a little different in primary world. For Red Path, we have Miss Deborah Tomlinson. Deborah was nominated by her classroom teacher, Mrs. Abraham, and she says that Deborah is an excellent role model for all students. She can always count on her to follow directions, follow classroom rules, complete assignments on time, and always do what is right. She is a sweet girl and always sees her treating her peers and adults with respect, including her manners when speaking with others. She always participates in class, asks questions if she doesn't know something, and she's the type of girl to overcome any obstacle that comes in her way. Even though she is so young and has not had some of the advantages of other students, I admire how hard she works to be a successful student, and she is so proud of her, and so am I. Congratulations.
You can stand up front. I'm gonna take my mask off. You can stand up here.
It's my pleasure to introduce to you Gabriel Johnson. Gabriel is a second grader in Mrs. Allen and Miss Timberman's class. Miss Timberman writes, Gabriel should be nominated because every time I look at him, he is always doing the right thing. He's a fantastic listener and is a great friend to everyone in his class. If one of his classmates are in need, Gabriel is the first one there to help. So we're proud that Gabriel hears and listens to the right things and is such a good friend, and we're proud that he is our Student of the Month.
Okay, congratulations to all of our Students of the Month. Well earned and well deserved, so congratulations to all of you. Do we have any other items to share? any other items to share under recognitions? Okay, thank you so much.
Okay, thank you very much. Yeah. Let everyone get out of the way here first. Yeah. Don't run off. It's gonna get exciting. Okay, next item on the agenda is the approval of the consent agenda. Mr. Gibney.
Yep, so first two items, we have meeting minutes from August 13, 2020, special school board meeting. Meeting minutes from August 24, 2020, regular school board meeting. And now with the allowance of claims and financial report, Mrs. Romer, could you address those items for us, please?
I'm not going to be nearly as much fun as the kids.
Probably not.
They were awesome. The reason why we're all here doing what we're doing. Okay, this month in your packet, you'll see that we had 2 regular payrolls, and then we had 1 mini payroll again this month. The first payroll was, August 14th, 2020, with a total payroll of $377,854.79. Along with that payroll came the accounts payable for FICA taxes and retirement, etc. The total for that payroll was $111,354.03. The mini payroll was held on August 17th for 1 employee, total payroll of $250. Along with that payroll came the accounts payable for payroll taxes and PERF, their retirement, for a total accounts payable of $105.66. The second full payroll in August was on August 28th for a total payroll of $420,917.64. Along with that payroll came the accounts payable for FICA taxes, retirement, and you'll see a couple of additionals. This is the time of year where we've got some new teachers or transferred teachers that are still electing their retirement packages. So we have to make some adjustments. The same thing happened last year with new options for our new teachers. So you'll see the total accounts payable, $121,071.93. Did anyone have any questions about the payrolls for August? Next in your packet, you should see a list of prepays. Again, there's nothing unusual this month. Of course, you know, the biggest payment for prepays was for the insurance trust, as it usually is. Total accounts payable for prepays, $372,770.14. We had an additional prepay to balance out our month that had to do with Mr. Gibney's retirement. We had to make an adjustment on there for $70.65. It was not caught until the payrolls had been posted. Next in your packet, you're going to see claims dated today, September 28th, for regular payment for the month of September. I don't normally go through and pull single claims, but as you probably noticed, there's substantial payments this month, a total payment of $635,756.70. That's substantial. So I want to go ahead and point out what a few of those big ticket items were. You'll see on the first page of regular claims, voucher 835 to Cincinnati Floor. That was a final payment for the gym floor at the middle school. Again, that was paid with bond money. If you want to go ahead and scroll down to a voucher number 849, you'll see a payment to Dell Financial. This would be for the new lease for the high school and middle school laptops. This is the first year for those. That was a substantial payment of $166,963.81, and that payment would be paid out of TBR fees. A couple more I'd like to point out on page 2, voucher number 872 to HICOM. This would be the final payment for the corporation phone system. As you all know, our phone system was almost 13 years old, and that was replaced this year. Again, that new phone system for the corporation was paid for from bond money. And just a couple of spots down from there, you'll see voucher number 878 to Imagine Learning. The last couple of months, you approved for us to go ahead and get that online software to help support virtual students and regular students in the classroom. This is the second full payment for the 3-year obligation of $60,000. Again, for total claims of $635, $756, $70. Are we ready to go on to the fund report? Okay.
Sure.
All right, next in your packet, you'll see the fund report. The balance, the end of August 2020 in education, $858,046.02. If you'd like to go a couple rows down to the operations fund, $300. Balance, the end of August 2020, $1,333,783.52. Total balance in fund for all funds at the end of August 2020, $5,746,348.23. Last in your packet for finances, you'll see the depository statement and bank balances. You'll see all the balances for all banks at the end of August 2020, minus any outstanding checks. And you'll see that the ending fund balance is $5,746,348.22. That is exactly 1 cent off from the fund report. And you'll see on your depository statement, I've noted once again that we're still having a discrepancy with the 21st century after-school program. We'll get it figured out one of these days. Pending any questions, submit for approval.
Great, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
I make a motion to approve.
Oh, it's all part of it. We're not there yet.
Ah.
And so the next item, we have personnel report part 1 and also personnel report part 2, and we'll post those items. And so that is all we have for the consent agenda. It's my recommendation that the board approve the consent agenda as presented.
I'll make my motion now. I'll second that.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion about the consent agenda? Hearing none, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. Next item on the agenda is reports, first being a technology report.
Mr. Shields?
Well, thank you for letting me be here tonight. I think Corey has my presentation ready to go. So I'm just going to give a brief report on some of the things we've done technology integration-wise over the last few months, and I appreciate everyone letting me do that tonight. Before I start, I would like Corey and Stacy, who have spent so many hours getting the new devices ready. Without them doing that, none of this would be possible for teachers or for students. So thank you for doing that. Okay.
Thank you.
If you don't mind, Corey, go ahead and, there we go. So this summer, we spent a lot of time on professional growth. We knew that obviously last spring with COVID that we sent everyone home, and some of our teachers were really prepared and others were on the learning curve, and we wanted to really make sure that if something happens this year that we are more prepared. So we focused our professional growth on two products, Google and G Suite for Education in particular, and that offers collaborative tools for any grade level, and also for Canvas, which we've been using at grades 3 through 12 for the last 5 years, but we now implement K through 12, and that is our learning management system, or the way that teachers deliver content to their students. So we honed in on those two, thinking they were going to be the products that paid the most dividends in terms of student use at home and teachers being able to use those tools with students. For Canvas, I ran 17 30-minute sessions across 9 weeks, and we had 50% of the teachers in the district attend at least one of those sessions. There were 18 teachers who attended every single session, and all 5 buildings were represented. All of those sessions were recorded and posted on Canvas in our professional development, in-house professional development, so that any teacher can access them later, or teachers who didn't attend live can watch them later on. We also focused on trying to have teachers attain Google certification. So Google certifies educators level 1 and level 2. Each certification requires 15 hours of coursework, and you have to pass a 3-hour exam that includes multiple choice exams along with applied problems. In order to become a level 2 certified teacher, you have to pass a level 1 exam, and the certification is good for 3 years. So we had a number of teachers attempt that this summer, and I'd also like to thank Dr. French for allowing that to happen. We'd been trying to work toward that for a couple of years, and she really got behind that this summer, so I appreciate that as well. So I'm not going to read the names of all the teachers, but I just want to take a moment to recognize them. I know their principals are here tonight, and they've recognized them in the building, but I wanted the board to see the names as well. So there's the teachers at Deer Meadow who achieved both level 1 and level 2 status. Ridpath, special shout out to Ridpath. They had over 50% of the teachers in the building achieve level 1. So that was very impressive. TZ also had a high number. But all the buildings across the board had a large number of teachers participate. As I said, all 5 buildings were represented. Every building had at least one teacher who attained level 2. And the exam is not easy. It is, especially the level 2 exam, is a fairly tough exam. And these teachers put in a minimum of 18 hours each for each certification. So a lot of work there that we really appreciate the teachers pouring in over the summer on their own time to try to become more prepared for this year. So moving forward, we really want to increase our utilization of Google and Canvas. Both tools are useful in and out of school. We have worked with Dr. Gibney, or Mr. Gibney and Dr. French to develop a teacher, innovator, and leader program that we're implementing this year to try to create opportunities for those teachers who showed leadership over the summer to share some of the lessons that they have created and encourage other teachers to follow that model. And we're going to work to support those teachers and meet them where they are, both physically and technologically. So I'm going to try to meet with the teacher leaders along with the teachers who may request some coaching to build up their technology skills so that even if we're sent home, we are prepared, but even if we're not sent home, we also have boosted our technology knowledge across the district. So I think that's kind of where we stand. I just want to give everyone a very brief update on where we are. I appreciate you letting me do that, and I'll be happy to answer any questions. All right, thank you.
That's great.
All right,
Thank you very much.
TJ. Next item on the agenda would be the Superintendent Report.
Yep.
Mr. Gibney.
So my report this month will be brief, but I did want to provide the public a preliminary update on our ADM count, which took place on September 18th. Our preliminary number, we're still obviously fine-tuning and working through making sure that we didn't miss anyone, working through some students that might be claimed by other school districts. But preliminarily, we have 1,710 students. Last spring, it was 1,757. Last fall, it was 1,790. So you can see kind of the adjustment there, or a small decline. Of those 1,710 students, 1,437 are in person, and 273 students are virtual. The good news is virtual and in person will be funded both at 100% this fall, but that's something to monitor moving forwards past January. So if you speak to any legislators, we'll have to continue to push for full funding for our virtual students due to COVID. Second item is we made an announcement that school lunch and school breakfast will be free of charge for regular school lunch and breakfast will be free of charge for all families at Greencastle schools through the end of this school year. Through the end of December, through the end of the calendar year. We were still waiting for an update from the federal government to see if that will carry forward throughout the remainder of the school year. Mrs. Carrico is offering virtual families, families of virtual students, the option of making arrangements to pick up meals as well. So just another great service that we're providing for students and for families. And then just the final update, as you do navigate throughout our buildings, the water bottle filling water fountain stations, 20 of which the city of Greencastle donated through their CARES money. I'd just like to thank Troy and the maintenance department for getting those installed for our students and staff. Those are a nice bonus addition in our schools. So that's all. Those are all the updates that I have for this month.
Okay, thank you very much. Next item on the agenda is old business, and there is no old business. So moving on to new business, the first item is an approval request for the 2021 capital projects plan and bus replacement plan hearing. Basically what we do is we open up a public hearing, take public comments on the capital project and bus replacement plans, and then close the hearing. So that being said, we will open the hearing to public comments. Okay, hearing none, we will close the hearing on the capital projects plan and the bus replacement plan. Next item on the agenda is an approval request for an addition to the 2020-2021 student fees at the for the Greencastle High School dual credit English course.
Yep, so this was a last minute addition to the student fees. It was overlooked in regards to that dual credit course, and so we just want approval to add that to the student fees, and we'll make sure that moving forward into next school year that we have all those items for approval at once.
Okay, can I get a motion to approve? So moved.
Second?
Okay, I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. Next item on the agenda is an approval request for a memorandum of understanding for dual credit with Ivy Tech.
Yep, so as is customary at the start of each school year, we just formalize an agreement with Ivy Tech with regards to our dual credit courses that we offer. So it's my recommendation the board approve the MOU for dual credit with Ivy Tech.
I'll make that motion. Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve the dual credit with Ivy Tech. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. Next item on the agenda is an approval request for a memorandum of understanding with Cummins Behavioral Health.
Yep, so during the last legislative session, the legislature took action to where school districts needed to formalize with a mental health provider, formally approve an MOU with a mental health provider. Greencastle Schools has long had a relationship with Cummins Behavioral Health, so this just formalizes our work together. They're already working with our teachers and our students. It doesn't necessarily change anything. It just puts into writing what we already do.
Thank you. Can I get a motion to approve?
I'll make that motion.
Second. We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye. Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. Next item on the agenda is an approval request for the 2020-2021 CARES Act after-school tutoring stipend.
Yep, so one of the challenges that we've been faced with just with the COVID-19 pandemic is making sure that students are caught up, stay on track. And so in order to help with that, we built in some funds for after-school tutoring for students in need, and we're just seeking approval to pay our teachers $25 an hour to offer that service outside of contract hours to be paid for from the CARES grant.
And this is paid for through the CARES Act, right?
Yes.
Yeah, 100%.
I'd make a motion to approve.
Yeah.
I'll second that.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any further questions or discussion?
Well, I did want to ask, so are we seeing, so with the participation in that, this is mainly for students that are out, right?
It's for virtual students, it's for in-person students, it's for any Greencastle student.
Okay, all right.
And has the program started yet, or is it waiting on approval?
Yeah, it started.
It's being pretty successful.
Yes, Dr. French, would you like to share a few words? She spearheaded the tutoring.
Oh, great. Thank you. Okay, I have a motion and a second. Any further questions? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. Next item is an approval request for a wireless access point project proposal.
Yep, so we have a little bit or some dollars left in our Category 2 E-rate funds, and Corey Hill has been working to present this proposal. This project would update our access points in all of our buildings. They're out of warranty, they're no longer supported. They're either 7 or 8 years old, so they're definitely in need of replacement. And so by using our Category 2 E-rate dollars, we'll be reimbursed at 70% for almost the full amount of the project. So we are not being charged our cost will be roughly, our cost will not exceed $70,000. The project is much more costly than that, but however, due to Category 2 E-rate funding, it offsets that by almost 70%. And so it's my recommendation that the board approve moving forward with this project, and this project will also be paid for from bond money.
I'd like a motion to approve.
Yeah, I'll second that.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion?
When will, I know this is just kind of a plan, but when would you start updating all these things?
I'm sorry, update our access points?
Yeah.
It would have to be worked out during a period of time when school was not in session, because we wouldn't want to interrupt connectivity. I'm not sure at this point if we'll be ready for fall break, but for instance, looking at like winter break, spring break, and summer.
Perfect, thanks.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any further questions? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. Next on the agenda is an approval request for KRM proposal for programming and feasibility study.
Yep, so if you remember, I don't know if it was last month or the month before, we need to begin the process of developing a long-range capital projects plan or building plan to look at addressing building needs for necessity, things, there may be items that are at end of life, there may be buildings and classrooms that are no longer best suitable or best designed for the type of learning to take place. For instance, an example might be like our science classrooms at the high school and the middle school that have been discussed and talked about before. But we want to develop a long-range multi-building plan throughout the course of the district so that we can be more efficient with our borrowing practices and having to pay professional service fees. So I would like to use KRM Architecture Group to help us put together and help to identify what those needs might be, engage our educators and have conversations with teachers regarding improvements, things that they would like to see be different, what are those struggles and challenges. Also to help us to project into the future and look at what our specific needs might be. And ultimately, at the end of the project, they'll give us a plan, they'll give us some recommended priorities or recommendations, but also estimates of cost so that we can work towards a building project in 2021, when our debt capacity will allow for that to take place. So Kevin Montgomery for KRM Architect Group is here if the board has any questions.
So when will the audit, I guess, or the study begin?
Hi, guys.
Hey, how are you? Thanks for
Good.
coming in.
We proposed that it would start pretty much immediately. We'd have a kickoff meeting to define the goals a little bit better. We've met with Jeff about some of those, but essentially October. And we've already, to be able to put the proposal together accurately, we've toured the buildings and documented existing conditions what we could. So it would take roughly 4 months starting in October.
Oh, okay.
So is this, so not just for, like maintenance type things, but really even in the classrooms to get the most bang for your buck out of your classroom, right?
Yep. So we'll be looking at, like you said, end of life, maintenance, and scheduling that out as accurate as possible, 5-10 years. And then, simultaneously listening to the community, the staff, leadership, and sifting through all the different ideas and opinions, and arranging them, prioritized. So then it's like, if this classroom over here, really needs a mechanical system in 5 to 10 years, and they're also requesting a larger science lab, well, we don't want to do that in 2 years and then go have to replace the HVAC. So, you want to layer those things on top of itself. So like Jeff said, you can really plan these things out and be really efficient with improvements.
Sounds like something we've needed. Yeah. Anybody else have any questions, comments?
Do you meet with the teachers, or do you send out a survey? How does that work?
A little bit of both. It'll depend on how you guys want to do it, but usually a survey is always a part of it. It stays online. And then right now we'd probably do it virtually, but we'll do a Zoom forum and do breakout rooms, and then they gather in small groups to bring back a summary of ideas, and then the topics that are pulled out of there, there's a follow-up opportunity if anyone wants to log back on.
Okay, thank you.
And you mentioned community, so parents will also kind of a
Yeah,
similar thing for.
we encourage that as well, kind of do the similar type thing where there's a kind of a wide, easy, 5-minute input outreach, and then a larger, more intensive if you want to dedicate an evening or something to an input session.
Okay. All right. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much.
I'll make a motion.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve the proposal for the feasibility study. Any other questions, comments? Okay, hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. Thank you for coming in. Next item on the agenda is an approval request for some donations, which I think we can all lump together and approve them all at the same time. First, we have a United Way of Putnam County donation for $2,500. Mary Allison Children's Trust to Tezonicus Intermediate for $1,000. Myers Market to Greencastle High School Athletics for $1,250, and the Hendricks Regional Health to Greencastle High School Athletics for $10,000. Can I get a motion to accept these donations?
Make a motion to accept the donations.
I'll second it.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. To everybody giving the money. Thank you very
Yes,
much.
yes.
Yes, thank you.
Okay, all opposed? Motion passes. Next on the agenda is, well, it says approval request, but it's really not, is it? It's just the first.
It's just first reading, so there's no board actions, just a first reading. We'll bring them for adoption and second reading next month.
Neola policies is what we're talking about here.
Yep, so these are our board policies, so I'm just gonna kind of hit the real high points, because there are many on here. Policy 4162, drug and alcohol testing of CDL holders and other employees who perform safety sensitive functions. periodically, state law and federal law changes, and so this policy was just updated to meet state law and federal regulations. 237005, virtual education program. This is a new policy, it just defines virtual ed, and this was out of design or because of State Board of Accounts for, in particular, when they're doing a ADM audit. 8450.01, we are not actually choosing to adopt that policy because we've covered that in our reopening plan, so we don't need a board policy for that. 0164.4, 0165, 0167.3, 8415, 8416, and 0167.1. These are all just revisions, modifications for board functions and operations during the COVID-19 pandemic. So just to help us assist with that. Bear with me, there are a few here. (0151) organizational meeting of the board, just being updated to correct outdated citations in the law. 0152 officers, again just to correct outdated citations, provide uniformity, used to refer to school board and corporation. 0154 motions, revision, just to more accurately reflect the required board actions at organizational meetings versus recommended, but optional board actions, and to update citations in the law. So many times these revisions are just due to law. 0155, same thing, made to correct outdated citations, provide uniformity. 0167.2, revised due to law, addresses allowable purposes for an executive session. 0171.4, treasurer revised, just to reflect the options provided in a different board policy bylaw. 0154 motions, just again for consistency. 3120.11, it's a new policy, and that's just simply to put into words requirements of SEA Senate Bill 390. So that's the requirements to hold a public hearing before the beginning formal collective bargaining. 5111, determination of legal settlement revised, just an option, just some additional kind of options for the board to delegate authority to superintendent. 5460, graduation requirements revised. It was only updated due to a new requirement for the 2020-21 school year. And the law, specifically with regards to the FAFSA. 6105, authorization to accept and distribute electronic records and use electronic signatures. This is specifically in dealing with Medicaid assistance for IEP services. Policy 6250, required ADM counts for the purpose of state funding. It's a new policy just meant to help implement State Board of Accounts requirements with regard to funding, ADM count, and auditing. 7540.02, web accessibility, content, apps, and services. Just again, updated to clarify content that applies to those items and best practices due to recent cases with the Office of Civil Rights. Policy 8330, student records revised, just due to changes with FERPA. Policy 84.20.01, pandemics and epidemics. Obviously, this is new. This is meant to help us with during COVID-19. Policy 8450, control of casual contact communicable diseases. It's just been updated to add COVID-19. And then policy 2266, which is a big one. That's Title IX, non-discrimination on the basis of sex in education programs or activities. That's due to changes in federal law. More specifically, we designate both a male, one of the changes, we designate both a male compliance officer and also a female compliance officer to help with any complaints or any items during that process. So these are all just for first reading, and we'll bring these for second reading and adoption next month.
Okay, thank you. Next item on the agenda is an approval request for a teacher appreciation grant. Is that
Yeah, so
$3,220?
No, 3220.01, policy number 32.20.01. So just to be clear, we're not making any changes or updates to that policy, but in order to be eligible for a teacher appreciation grant money from the state, we have to annually approve a policy. And so I'm recommending, obviously, that we don't update it, but we just have to annually approve it.
Can I get a motion to approve?
Yeah, I'll make a motion.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any questions or discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. Next item on the agenda is an approval request for an e-learning day to conduct parent-teacher conferences.
Yeah, so obviously, in order to help our teachers and help our families and to still be able to conduct our parent-teacher conferences, because I think teachers do a great job and have an ongoing dialogue, but we have to think outside of the box and do things a little bit different this year. We can't bring family or parents in during the school day. And we also don't want teachers to have to work a lot of hours outside of their contract time. So in order for us to be able to hold parent-teacher conferences, we want to be able to conduct an e-learning day on October 22nd. After fall break, we discussed this with the teachers at the GCTA, and we feel like this will best allow those meetings to take place. And teachers will plan e-learning activities for the students to complete while at home, and then teachers will be meeting with parents throughout the day virtually. So we'll work with the teachers to kind of flex their schedule, because we also recognize that not every parent is available during the school day. So we want to be able to flex that so where there are some evening hours available also.
So if there's, if there are parents that aren't able to do it virtually, then what are we gonna do about that?
Yeah, by phone.
Okay, all right.
So if they can't meet on computer face-to-face, we'll just go
a
the
phone
old
call.
school route.
Okay, all right.
Through phone calls.
Right on. Yeah, that works too.
Yep. Sometimes I forget that myself.
Okay, can I get a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. Next item on the agenda is other business. Does anyone have any other business to discuss, or questions, comments?
I guess I just want to say, Jeff, and the administration, we did the Student of the Month. I think that's great. It's really fun to see the little people, and it was very fun. I'd like to continue that, so thank you.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah, we have a lot of good things that take place here, and so we're going to do a better job of sharing them.
Sounds like a good idea. Anyone else? Okay, last item on the agenda is adjournment. Can I get a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second. Okay, I have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Didn't think so. Motion passes.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you for coming, and be careful going home.